All right, we're a couple minutes past the hour here, so we're just going to get started. I want to make sure everyone can see my screen and can hear me loud and clear. I'll take your silence as a yes. All right. Well, hello everyone. I'm Jeremiah McNicholas. I'm the product marketing manager for financials here at Procore, and I want to thank you for joining us for our webinar today on powering compliance management with Procore and partners. So excited for all of you. We're going on a journey here. We're going to see a lot of product. We're going to see a lot of solutions and ways for making all your lives a little easier. Before we get into that, just a little bit of housekeeping. So your lines are muted. This is intentional, but we do still want to hear from you. So we have a Q&A window in the Zoom panel there. Please feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation. We will reserve some time at the end of the presentation to address those questions, and you'll hear responses from any of our panelists across Procore, TrustLayer, Billy, and Jones. And on that note, we do have those folks coming up here. But first, bit of housekeeping. Also joining me on the Procore side here, we have Janine Chu, Senior Product Manager here at Procore. Both of us aligned to the Procore invoice management and pay products. So Janine will be doing a brief demonstration for us, as well as helping to address questions in the chat as they come along. So thank you, everyone, and welcome. Get things going. So first off, there's problems with insurance compliance management. You're here, you probably know that or have some semblance of that. In our conversations with customers like you, we've identified a few areas of particular issue with this process around document collection and tracking those certificates of insurance, verifying them, and then risk transfer, or really just managing the overall process, and then ultimately reporting on it and making sure all of your solutions in this area speak to each other and work well together. There's impacts to these problems too, right? And you may or may not have experienced some of these, but we've heard issues with potential uninsured vendors on site or insurance claims, cost overruns and delays as a result of inefficiencies in this process, or ultimately diminished workflow or visibility into that workflow. So probably many other problems, some that feel free to share in the chat window there if you've experienced any, but a few that we've heard specifically from our customers. With that, and with everything that we've heard around the overall subcontractor payment process, we look to address those problems in the Procore platform with Procore Pay. So in case you hadn't heard, we announced Procore Pay at Groundbreak last year, just about a year ago. We released it into the world to help consolidate technology around these around these problems, manage compliance and other requirements, automate some of that lien waiver exchange, and just overall reduce payment friction in that process for all stakeholders involved. We've had some great success with that product, but we've also seen a lot of success complementing that product with some partner solutions. With that, we're going to jump right into a demonstration of Procore Pay, and specifically the compliance components of Procore Pay, led by our product manager, Janine Chu. So let's jump right in there.
With Procore Pay, you can track your trade partner's compliance on every commitment and invoice and make sure that all requirements have been met before releasing payment. When you navigate to any commitment on a Procore Pay-enabled project, you will now see a Compliance tab. This tab has two sections, Insurance and Contract Compliance Documents. For insurance compliance, all certificates associated with that vendor on that commitment will be displayed, along with their compliance status. This includes any insurance certificates manually entered into Procore's directory tool or synced in from a third-party partner such as Jones, Billy, or TrustLayer. In the second section for other contract compliance documents, any other requirements such as bonds, licenses, and permits can be entered and tracked. This information is available to both the GC and subcontractors so that everyone can stay on the same page. With Procore Pay, each invoice also has a Payment Requirements tab. Requirements that are met have a green check mark. From this tab, users can quickly take action on any unmet requirements. This allows both the GC and subcontractor to quickly and easily understand whether the invoice is ready to be paid. Through Procore Pay's Payments tool, the accounting team also has full visibility into the same payment requirements, including insurance compliance. This allows them to make decisions on whether to release payment. With Procore Pay and our COI partners, insurance information that was once hidden in the directory tool is now elevated and leveraged during the invoicing and payment process.
Thanks, Janine. And just segueing right into our partners here, I'm going to hand things off to Sharon Fox at TrustLayer, talk a little bit about how the solution integrates with Procore and the benefits therein. So, Sharon, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm a VP of Partnerships at TrustLayer. Been here just shy of 5 years. In a past life, I was also an insurance broker focused on construction and complex risk. So I joke that I've been on the dark side of every single industry. A lot of you might already know what TrustLayer is, but our platform is a collaborative risk management platform that GCs, owners use to manage their third parties for compliance. And while today's conversation is certainly focused around insurance, it's not necessarily the only thing your business cares about. So you can also use our platform to track W-9s, trade licenses, get your contract signed, really manage everything from a risk management standpoint when it comes to third-party risks. So I'm excited to talk to you today a little bit about Procore, but also the TrustLayer relationship with Procore. So a few things that make TrustLayer unique or different when you're hearing from other companies today on the call that really provide similar services. And obviously it's really important because we're all here. But really TrustLayer really tries to take I would say, consultative approach with our clients, especially when it comes to insurance compliance. First, it's not all insurance is created equal when it comes to a general contractor's business based on the type of risks and buildings, things that they're doing. So we would really try to take approach in understanding what the general contractor's risk appetite and really building a software solution and workflows around what they really care about. Some GCs care about additional insured endorsements, are very particular about which ones they will and won't accept. Others are more flexible. So we really try to understand what their preferences are and provide best practices and consultative advice from our own experiences. The other piece is, I touched on it, but TrustLayer is a collaborative solution. So we really try to include all stakeholders who might touch the compliance process within our platform. So most of our customers are adding their insurance brokers, project managers, accounting team, everybody who might be involved within compliance so they can collaborate all in one place and have complete visibility. And kind of finishing with that visibility is, of course, our integration with Procore, where you can either be in TrustLayer or Procore and have visibility into compliance, which is great. And then the third piece, which is really exciting for us, is carrier connectivity. So we have actually just gone live this week with a large national carrier that we're actually able to validate insurance in real time. So what that means is we get a certificate of insurance from this company. We're able to radio the policy admin system and validate it's actually in force. Conversely, if the policy is canceled, we'll be notified in real time. So this is a first of its kind solution in the industry. And what's really great about that is if you have a vendor on your job site that cancels their workers' compensation or any kind of insurance, you'll be able to remove them from the job site and have visibility into that. So that's really exciting. Slide, sorry. So a little bit about our Procore integration is, I think generally speaking, what most contractors are trying to accomplish is seamless flow of their projects, their subcontractors into the TrustLayer platform, and then making sure anything that happens in TrustLayer gets pushed back into Procore to have that visibility. What we truly try to do for our clients is have more of a bespoke approach to our integration. So you see some example like data flow in front of you. Well, some GCs want to have all the insurance information in Procore, and some only want to see yes or no whether or not they're compliant. So we really take a flexible approach to how the integration works based on the different workflows within the organization. We're able to, I think I already touched on the full service workflow here. And then I just touching on many companies are looking at changing their ERP systems in the next year, moving to new accounting systems. And really what we love about working with Procore is one, their flexibility in their integration. Some other ERP systems are quite difficult to integrate with. So that's why we really love partnering with Procore, because they make it really easy to make a switch. And so if anybody is looking, we definitely would recommend them. With that, I think we have a quick demo of our integration.
Hi there, Will from TrustLayer here. I'm going to walk through a demo of TrustLayer and our Procore integration. Let's start out in Procore. In Procore, I'm going to go ahead and open up a specific project, and then I'm going to head on over to the commitments tool, and I'm going to open up this specific company. Let's click on this company name. Here, I'm going to head on over to the insurance tab, and we can see here that there is this TrustLayer compliance status with the status non-compliant, and then some notes around this. Let's go see how this looks in TrustLayer. Once I open TrustLayer, the first thing I see is our dashboard that gives you the overall compliance of your projects, as well as the number of non-compliant parties, which in this case is 1. Parties here being whatever company or subcontractor you're tracking. So let's go ahead and click on this Parties tab to bring up the specific party that we were looking at in Procore. So Prime Solutions. Let's make sure we go to Projects and we open this party inside this project. Let's go to the Compliance tab, and here we see this compliance profile that outlines all the requirements needed for this to become compliant. Scroll down here, we'll see the commercial general liability, which has 2 requirements, as well as the custom group requirement here, which ABC requirement must be present. Let's go to the overview tab, and let's go ahead and send an email here to this company requesting that they provide documentation. So we click here, then here we confirm that this is the recipient and click confirm and send. Let's open up this document request page, which is what the party on the other end will be directed to in that email to provide their documents. Let's go ahead and actually select here a document to upload, and I have a COI that I'm going to upload, and there we go, that's been uploaded. And now I'm going to go back into TrustLayer. Going to go to the Documents tab, and we see this document that was uploaded by that party. So let's click on that document. We can see that the technology has already matched a few requirements, and of course we have this custom requirement that won't be matched. Well, let's go ahead and mark this document as reviewed. Now I'm going to go back into Procore to see how this shows up. Now let's go ahead and refresh this page. Now in Procore, we can see non-compliant in progress, which means they're non-compliant, but the process of gathering all the required documents has started. And we can see here in notes that CGL is compliant, but the custom group is non-compliant. Let's go back into TrustLayer. Let's click on the Compliance tab. And let's say that for some reason, I want to waive this requirement. I can click here, Waive Requirement, click Waive. Now that I've waived this requirement, we can see that it is fully compliant. So let's go back into Procore. Let's refresh this page. And we can see now that it is compliant. So that is at a very high level how the Procore TrustLayer integration works.
Incredible. Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate that. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into brief presentation from Billy with Nyasha. Nyasha, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nyasha, and I'm a co-founder here at Billy. Reason why I started this is because I've worked in construction all my life. I've been in your shoes as a contract administrator. I was the boy who used to work in the plan room and hand over drawings, sometimes in exchange for a lien waiver so they could get paid. I transitioned from that role into Procore. I was at Procore when Procore was green and orange, blue and orange, rather. There was no Procore financials at that time, and my experience from construction led me into the product team. I worked alongside Janine. We built products together that some of you really like the DocuSign integration, Procore invoices, change events, and the foundations of Procore Pay. Here at Billy, we're not just your traditional COI solution. We are a company that comes from construction. All of us have come from real estate and construction backgrounds, and we're just focused on construction technology and just compliance as well. So next slide. What makes us different is we are from construction. We focus on our Procore integration to not just do certificates of insurance, but we cover other documents such as your master service agreements during a pre-qualification phase. If you want to see your business licenses in a project or at a global level, this is a solution for you as well. During construction operations, you can use Billy to manage COIs and also important endorsements. At the time a project ends, we all know that you struggle with closeouts. So Billy is a solution that helps you, manage your insurance during the closeout phase, and you can also collect additional documents that are contractually required by the owner as well. So these include things like your warranty letters and also requirements for folks such as plumbers who need insurance for X years mentioned on your contract. This can all be managed with Billy, with an integration with Procore as well. We embed your finance teams, and this is very important, so you can enforce payments as well. We integrate with systems such as Sage 300, CMIC, JD Edwards, and also Viewpoint Vista. We have a great customer success team, and they're all CRIS certified. And this is really important because we're not just people who build software, we're people who understand construction as well. We'll jump into a demo so you can see what Billy is all about. I guess we can go one more.
If you hire contractors, you know that managing insurance compliance is a real pain in the ass. Managing construction compliance can be overwhelming. Requesting, reviewing, and tracking contractor insurance and compliance can take hours. On each project, you've got to ask for proof of insurance, the correct endorsements, and all of these changes to their policy details. Then ask yourself, wait, whose certificate is this for again? Is it in my accounting system in Procore? All that back and forth is a major risk to your construction business. But with Billy's seamless integration with Procore, it doesn't have to be. All-in-one compliance management platform built for construction so that you can get the right insurance from the right contractors the first time. How does it work? Billy seamlessly integrates with Procore. To get started, simply sign in using your Procore account. That's it. You're now integrated. Build a digital checklist of all your insurance requirements down to the text on your COI and customize compliance requirements to fit your project needs. Then you send that compliance checklist to contractors with one click. Contractors and their insurance brokers enjoy a frictionless experience that allows them to submit their contract documents without needing to log in. They can upload certificates of insurance, full form endorsements, CCI OCIP enrollments, W-9s, licenses, surety bonds, warranty letters, and more. If their insurance coverage and compliance documents match your requirements, the contractor is approved and they get to work. Save time by automatically syncing compliance information from Billy to your Procore accounts. Your project teams can view compliance information in Procore and allow on-site contractors. The compliance dashboard shows all your contractors and their compliance status, including when their policies and compliances expire. If their insurance or compliance document is missing, Billy automatically contacts the contractor to remind them of upcoming expiration dates and insurance requirements. For builders utilizing Procore Pay, you can now release payments with confidence that your contractors are compliant. This embedded experience automatically syncs insurance coverages and any other defined compliance documents directly to the compliance module in Procore Pay and on any internet-enabled device. Billy integrates with your favorite ERP systems to embed accounting and finance teams in the payment and compliance process. With everything centralized, insurance audits become effortless. Instantly generate general liability and workers' comp insurance audit reports and submit them to your insurance carrier in seconds. No more email back and forth, no more clunky spreadsheets, and no more pain in the ass. Sign up for Billy and get compliance from the right contractors the first time. Hassle-free. Booyah.
All right, we can go one slide back, Jeremy, and we'll talk about uh, our integration with Procore and wrap up as well. All right, so as you saw, the product is just as easy to use as the DocuSign integration with Procore. So it's a seamless workflow integration that allows you to do end-to-end on our document engine as well. You can do more than just certificates of insurance. So it's real-time compliance monitoring, and it's accessible on any internet-enabled device. This means that you have the use case of your field teams allowing or disallowing people from coming on site as well. There is embedded financial control. So if you use Procore Pay, you can also integrate the systems with Billy into Sage 300, CMIC, and other ERP systems as well. Thank you again.
Excellent. Thanks, Nyasha. And with that, we will turn our attention over to Steve with Jones.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Hey, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name's Steve. I'm the VP of Revenue at Jones. I've been with the company for a little over 5 years, and relevant part of my background, I spent about a decade plus in real estate and construction technology. The last company I was at before Jones is a company called Honest Buildings. We did bidding and cost management for real estate developers, tenant improvement type work, CapEx work. That company was acquired by Procore in 2019, and that was about the time I came over to Jones. I was super interested and excited about what they're doing, and 5 years later, just as excited. If you could flip the slide, Jeremiah. So, you have a lot of great companies here, and I think what's really exciting is a lot of innovation around the space of insurance and pushing for things like APIs into carriers, which is amazing. I think one of the things that we're really proud of is the depth of our integration, and I really want to get to the demo because I think that's going to be very evident when we go through that. But we've just built a really robust API layer that allows us to do deep integrations with softwares like Procore, and has really made it easy to do the integration into the side panel and to the other applications like Procore Pay. But we also do support many other integrations with companies like CMIC, Vista, Sage, Yardi, MRI, you name it. We definitely take a lot of pride in our service levels around support and auditing. So we offer a very complete and fast, reliable review time. So when you upload documents to Jones, they will be reviewed compliant or not compliant within 24 hours. We average about 6 to 8 hours. We use a two-step audit process that involves various forms of AI and logic layers, as well as a auditing team that supports those. And we can do everything from a simple certificate to endorsement pages to full policy review if you need things like exclusions review because someone has a height restriction or a labor law exclusion. So really, we can support any customer needs across the risk transfer stack. And the last thing there, that $0 in third-party losses, I'm sure that's raising some eyebrows. I think that's just important to know a little bit about our vision. We see a world where by using Jones, you materially reduce your exposure to third-party risk, and that you can get beyond just COI tracking. So it's like, hey, I'm going to work with this vendor. Well, they have a residential exclusion and a height restriction, so they're not going to be able to work on this multifamily project. They're not going to be able to do this. They can do the job that's on the ground floor. They can't do the job that's taking place on the second floor, right? And then really once we get to that point, helping customers like you really impact your total cost of insurance, which, as you all know, is a really hard insurance market. And I'm sure as you're going through those renewals, not super fun conversations, right? So anything we can do to help our customers in that regard, we want to be able to do. And just a little testimony there from Dana Erman, VP of Innovation at Bully & Andrews, one of our first general contracting customers, really helped pioneer the space. And I also see some other folks in the room. I see Danielle from Holt there, exciting. You want to flip to the next slide there, Jeremiah? I'll just actually want to get into the demo so you can actually just see the integration. The only reason I want to call it the screenshot is because the side panel was down in our dev environment. So I actually didn't get to show that, but we do the side panel integration, which is really helpful because if you're looking at like a vendor or a commitment, you can see the full compliance status of them inside of Jones through the side panel. So that's a cool feature that we've been able to add when Procore released that. So let's get into the demo. And I'm going to try to narrate this as I go here. So, so this is obviously inside the product page. Now you're going inside an embedded app within Procore, right? So you can see there's no project for this Procore project in Jones. So we're going to have to create this project from Procore to Jones. So we click this button. This is going to start to create the project. So now you can assign your users from Procore who also need to be accessed in Jones. You can add your additional insureds and your certificate holder for that specific project. And then once you're done with this, you can create the project. And now what it's doing is going to create all of this data, your insurance templates, and it's going to add those in real time from Procore to Jones. Once it does, it's going to refresh the screen. And now you're going to see a screen here where you have project requests, it's blank, and you see global requests. This is all your pre-qualification. So if you've already collected insurance or you have global insurance, we'll show you that. Now you can see in Jones, that project was created. It exists here, but it's an empty state. There's no vendors in it. So back in Jones, we'll go add a project request. This is going to pull from the project directory. So we can add any, first we can select the requirements, and then we can add any of your vendors from the project directory and send them a request. This will pull the contacts that are listed on the project directory and will default to the person you sent the COI request to last. Lastly, you can either request a COI, or if you already have the COI or the endorsements, you can attach it right here. That will send that right through the Jones and kick off the audit process without sending a request. In this case, we actually have to request it. We don't have their docs. I see this card pop up. It's pending. And now what we'll do is we'll kick over to Jones, and you'll see when we refresh our screen here, Citron Contracting, that's been created, and you can see that record ID number has been added. That's what links this to Procore, and we're awaiting the COI. And this is what the vendor would then get in real time. So they get an email saying, please submit your insurance docs for this demo project in Procore. They'll go through a very simple interface. They don't have to log in. They can forward this to a broker or someone else on their team. They see the insurance requirements here, and then they'll be able to upload their certificates, their endorsements, policy pages, W-9s, whatever they need to do to become compliant. Once that's refreshed, you now see it's under review. That kicks off that less than 24-hour audit time. It's still pending in Jones. So let's go to a project that's maybe more active. So we move to the new project. We open up the Jones app within Procore, and I can see my table here. So I see all the vendors on the project. I see their compliance status. I can see the insurance documents that have been uploaded from Jones. So when they upload their documents to Jones, we pass them back. So you can see those. You can upload a new document right there and have it go through the audit process. And you also can pop this out so you can jump right into Jones to see the status and take further action. So you can see it's like deeply embedded and integrated. And then the other cool thing we have here is in that project page is we have a commitments tool. So if you have a commit with somebody and you haven't requested insurance or don't have insurance status, we'll create a notification for you saying, hey, you have a commitment in place with someone who's on your project and you do not have insurance on file for them. So, and then lastly, all of this information is going in our embedded app. It's also getting updated to the compliance tab in Procore, right? So you can see here, we're pushing an overall compliance status and also a compliance status for every individual insurance requirement. So as you can see, we've really just kind of gone, and this is something we're iterating on constantly. So it's just been able to build a really deep, robust workflow that enables customers to kind of live in Procore.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Steve. So that concludes our specific demonstration and presentation from Procore and our partners. Now I'd like to turn it back to each of our presenters here and just end with some closing thoughts from each of you. And then we'll open the floor here for questions. I'm sure you have plenty of questions. We've seen a lot of product today. But we'll go back in order of our presentation here. So coming back to you, Sharon, if you have any just final thoughts for our audience before we jump into Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you heard from a lot of great solution providers today. spreadsheets, frankly, are no longer acceptable from a compliance standpoint. Monitoring insurance isn't getting less complex, it's getting more complex. So I think it's imperative for companies to have a robust compliance process in place, especially when you're going to buy your own insurance. Underwriters view things like this incredibly favorably, sometimes even willing to reduce your own insurance costs. So it's something to keep in mind and how you can leverage this to save your own expenditures and risk management spending. But if anybody's interested in learning more, doing a deeper dive, of course, my name's Sharon Fox. Come to our website, reach out. We're happy to help, and we hope to see all of you at Groundbreak.
Wonderful. Thanks, Sharon. Nyasha, on to you. Any last final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming and attending this webinar as well. If you're looking for a construction solution to help you mitigate construction risk, I think you should pick Billy and Procore Pay. It's a solution that helps you streamline this process. It also embeds your financial teams in the back office for things like integrating all these things into your ERP system. And our partnership also helps you get paid upstream. One of the things we have is also bringing these documents so that it can be pushed to the prime contract and you can get paid sooner as well. We also partner with carriers such as Travelers Insurance, Arch, the USIs of the world. So if you are brokering with any of them, would love to talk to you about Billy as well. Thanks again.
Excellent. All right, and Steve, back to you. Any final thoughts for our audience?
Well, thank you for the time. It's like I said, I think there's a lot of innovation in a space that's not had a ton over the last several decades. We're talking about COIs, right? That were invented in the middle of the 20th century, right? So I think Procore's done a service here by bringing you 3 options in a sea of a lot of different solutions, and I think it's an opportunity for everyone here to kind of do their due diligence and choose who's the right fit. And then lastly, I would say, Sharon mentioned the consultative approach. We know a lot, the technology is there, but sometimes it's hard to get compliant. So for instance, shameless self-promotion, we're hosting a webinar next week with Kier Construction, one of our Procore integrated general contractors, on how they've gotten consistently above 90% compliance. And so happy to share best practices and stuff like that with folks beyond just the technology itself. But, thanks again for the opportunity.
Incredible. Thanks, Steve. And then just final words from Procore. We released Procore Pay last year, as I mentioned. Our goal really here to streamline subcontractor payments with a platform that delivers process transparency, compliance, and lien waiver automation. You've seen 3 additional solutions today that can help elevate that process around collecting compliance and certificates of insurance and helping to further ease some of those processes. I implore you to explore all these solutions and make your best judgment around what's best fit for your organization. And with that, I'm going to open the floor here for questions. We've answered quite a few actually over the course of the presentation. So I may just pull a few of those out and just ask them for those that aren't monitoring the Q&A and for those that may be listening here to the recording of this presentation. But do not be shy. We saw a lot of product today. You've heard from a lot of great panelists here. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to drop them into the Q&A or the chat windows here. And if you'd like any of us to reach out to you to explore these solutions further, please let us know in the Q&A window or the chat as well. With that, floor is open for questions. We did get a question about whether or not this will be recorded. We are recording, so you will get a recording of this after the fact. If you'd like to watch again or share with your peers, you're welcome to do so. Let's see. So a question specifically about trust layer and whether or not it integrates with Procore. In case it was unclear, all of these products do integrate with Procore, so trust layer included. We had a question about whether these solutions work for sales tax exemption as well. I believe that was directed specifically at you, Sharon, from TrustLayer, but open it up to the floor here. Maybe Sharon, if you want to address that one.
Yeah, so we have to learn a little bit more about Mark's use case and what he wants to accomplish. So we can reach out separately to learn a little bit more before I put my foot in my mouth.
Fair,
Um,
fair.
I just saw Mark, another question from Mark. Our Procore integration is complementary, so there's no additional cost to utilize it when you're using the platform.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's I guess a good question for all. So, do you have to pay for all these add-on applications? Is specifically the question. I think Sharon, you interpreted that as whether there's an additional cost for integration with Procore, or if this is a question about whether the solutions on display here are an additional cost. Each of these
Oh,
products
okay.
are
Yeah.
are an additional cost in addition to Procore. Um, but to Sharon's point, the integration specifically with TrustLayer is not an additional cost.
I think Mark's hoping to hear from Billy and Jones on this front too.
Yeah, I can go first. Billy can handle tax exemption forms. We are from construction, so we're very familiar with this workflow. I'll reach out to you, Mark, and we can show you how we do it.
Yeah, same. I mean, if there's a specific requirement or document, you know, you need to evaluate for, we can include that in the requirements. And then we do, I mean, there's no charge on the Procore side, I think, to add an extra module like a Jones. But we do charge a nominal fee for the implementation and the ongoing maintenance and support.
Thanks all. Another great question here. Can all three of these solutions review for exclusionary language? Anyone?
That's a loaded question. I bet you that's a New Yorker. Uh, I would say insurance is complex. So we've introduced some LLMs in our platform that we're able to surface information to our users to then make business decisions around exclusionary language. But it all ties back really to risk appetite and what you're willing to accept or not accept. For example, when you talk about just additional insured endorsements, we've identified over 1,500 different types of additional insured endorsements with different language. So we can surface it to you, and then it's left to, like Steve said, the auditors, if you're using a managed service, or your team members to then make that business decision based on your risk appetite.
Thanks, Sharon. Anyone else want to address that question?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sharon made a point earlier, and you know, not everybody's viewpoint on risk is the same. I mean, you know, and you know, the customer quote unquote is always right. So, you know, some customers they want to just track certificates of insurance and they want to make sure that they have, you know, their core four coverages that are in place and not expired. Other clients of ours are deeply concerned about exclusionary language that exists in the policy documents and doesn't appear on a certificate or an AIE form, right? And so in that instance, you do need to get a little bit deeper to look for things like, you know, residential exclusions or height restrictions or labor law stuff. So yeah, if we have a customer that's interested in sort of like full policy review and verification, you know, we can go that deep, but it's definitely not something that I would recommend for every person, and not necessarily that everybody's looking for in their risk transfer process.
Yeah, and I'll also echo what Sharon said, which is insurance is very complex. So the language itself isn't necessarily like the issue. It's just mostly pertaining to what does your contract also say and what's allowed in the insurance process. And I think all three solutions have a consultative approach and professionals who are very well capable to read your contracts and adjust to what your contracts are asking for. The thing about construction that's very interesting is that, you know, no two buildings are the same. They're all unique. You have different funding parties, you have different owners. So insurance on a project is like also very unique. So all of these three solutions have folks who can help you, read this, understand it, and apply it the way that the contract is asking for, with a very tight integration to Procore as well.
Great, thank you all. We had a question about automated emails. So are there automatic emails sent to vendors when their COI has expired? And will new COIs uploaded to the same vendor across different jobs if they're working on more than one project? So a specific product question there, but if folks want to address that. Automated emails and whether single COI is updated across for vendors updated across all their jobs.
I can take that first. I think that depends on the customer and how they want to set it up. So sometimes companies will accept like blanket additional insured endorsements that can cover, so when the same insurance requirement applies to multiple projects, then they'll kind of look for those types of blanket endorsements and then fall back to the specific project level contract, to help transfer that additional insured risk. And if that's how they want to do it, that's how sort of like we would accommodate it in their Jones experience. But if they need to collect multiple documents because that contractor can't evidence a blanket endorsement and or for whatever reason, then they could set it up that way. So that would be more like a configuration question for the customer in that example.
Thanks, Steve. Anyone else want to address that one?
Yeah, to answer specifically the question for Billy, we start sending out the notifications 30 days before, 15 at the point of expiration, and then every 7 days after as well.
Thanks,
yeah, and we have automations, and you can set it up based on whatever cadence you prefer. So if you want it to be 30 days and then 2 days later, whatever cadence you like. We also have automations for non-compliance. So post expiration, if they're still not compliant, that can be automated. And we're able to contemplate project specific requirements. So, if you have a job that needs different additional insured language, we can capture what we already have on file, but then have another request go out for that project specific as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sharon. Getting a lot of questions around pricing. So specific pricing conversations across all products shown today, we can address in a one-on-one environment. So we'll reach out with pricing specifics if that's something that you're interested in. Also, a great question around other solutions not demonstrated today, or just the breadth of solutions in this category. If you are interested in exploring COI solutions more generally, or really any partner solutions that integrate with Procore, I'd implore you to check out marketplace.procore.com. A full archive of all of the solutions that integrate with Procore and can help power a number of different areas of your business. A great question here around implementation timelines. So can each of you share a little detail around a typical timeline for implementing your products?
I guess we'll just go in order.
Yeah, fair enough.
So our average implementation time is 30 to 60 days. Now, I'll caveat that it can depend on the size of your company. Some GCs we work with have 200 subcontractors. Some of them have 5,000. So obviously your size can certainly impact that timeline. But the standard implementation to get you up and running is about 60 days. And what that really requires is turning on your Procore integration, mapping any of the data. Some of the data you have in Procore, you may not want to come into TrustLayer, and then moving into training your respective team members on using the platform. So with the integration with Procore, it makes the setup way, way, way easier.
And with Billy, you're not just buying great software, but you're buying a great team. So each team has an implementation manager and also your customer success manager. We aim to go live within 2 weeks. For some companies, it's longer because you may be larger, or you may have things like data ingestion of certificates of insurance from Procore or another provider that you need to be put into Billy as well. We will help you with the go live process. So we will help communicate and streamline the process of letting your subcontractors know that, hey, there's a new software called Billy, and it's your source of truth for all compliance management as well. Post-launch, the team is going to check in with you. We have a criteria here at Billy, so we set the compliance standards really high, so you can measure it in-app, and you also have a great team that works alongside you as well. I'll pass it on to Steve.
Yeah, I would. We're more average time around 90 days. I think it does depend on about like how many contractors you're onboarding. And again, there's some nuance here, and that's probably why it's worth talking to everybody. But we set up your integrations, we go through auditing standards to make sure that we understand what your requirements are, how you want them to be audited, any logic rules or anything that you need applied, and then we'll both onboard and review all of your existing contractors as well as start the process of onboarding new ones. So depending on how much documentation we're collecting from you and reviewing initially, that really determines the time it takes to get the documentation and also the time it takes for us to get everything up and reviewed in our platform. So that's a little bit of a flavor for our implementation process.
Excellent. Thank you all. We are getting some follow-up questions around specifically how training is provided and formats and what have you. We could probably address those in a more one-on-one environment, as I imagine that's again tailored to the specifics of the customer. And we're coming up on time here, so just one last question, and then we'll wrap up for today. What would you say is the best way to manage in Procore if you have a blanket and a project-specific requirement around compliance? Are products equipped for that? And how would you recommend setting that up?
What I would say is a lot of the reason why people purchase products like ours is because of the ability to be really deep and complex when it comes to project-specific requirements. Procore's compliance module, I would say, is more shallow in how it reports project-specific compliance. So you might elect to actually have your project managers have access to the TrustLayer system where they can go in on a job-by-job basis and see that. We can push project-specific and global compliance into TrustLayer, into Procore, forgive me, but it doesn't always translate in terms of user interface and experience in the best way.
Thanks, Sharon. Yasha, do you want to address this?
Yeah, absolutely. I like this question particularly because it happens to contractors, and I think that's one of the things we pride ourselves in Billy, because we're just construction specific. So I get this question because it's not necessarily about how do you do it? It's more about their operations, which is, hey, like they have operations where they just get one certificate of insurance and it applies to all projects, like people who do energy, like wind farms, for example. So you can do this in Billy, and we can populate to Procore. But my perspective to this is there is an iteration that's required to make it work exactly the way that you want. So when you do issue a commitment, Procore should be able to have a configuration to reference the global insurance and make it simpler for you as well. And I'll pause there.
Appreciate it. To you, Steve?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that I have too much to add. I think Sharon basically touched on it, right? You can either track in Procore project-specific insurance, or which is more at the project directory level, or global, which is at the overall company directory level, right? So that's typically how you would track a project-based insurance requirement versus like a blanket or a global insurance requirement. That's probably the best way to do it within Procore. I think what our peers are saying is like it isn't necessarily maybe the easiest way to consume it from a risk standpoint. So sometimes like we'll probably help you visualize that a little bit better in our respective softwares.
Fantastic.
And that's something with pay that I want to highlight, like makes it a lot easier for all of your end users, is that we do add that compliance tab to all of your commitments. It will show both the blanket and project specific requirements if you have them at the global level or the project level. We will show everything related to that vendor assigned to that commitment. And so that makes it really easy for your PMs, your accounting team, and even your subcontractors to immediately see, like, hey, these are the certificates of insurance that are compliant. These are the ones that are expiring soon. These are the ones that are non-compliant, and manage it more effectively.
Thanks for that, Janine. Yeah, it sounds like in short, all the products you've seen today can accommodate this, Procore included. It's just a matter of how you want to roll it out and how you want what kind of visibility you want into it after the fact. Great, and with that, that does conclude our time today. I want to thank all of you for joining us to the end here. Hopefully you found this valuable. Again, we ran through a lot of product. We addressed your questions here. Please raise your hand. Let us know if you'd like us to reach out to you with more information about anything you've seen today. We're happy to do so. And with that, thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you for all of our attendees, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.